Alright. So we are here with, can you introduce yourself pretty please?
My name's Ken, and I go by the name Great Akuma in the ring.
Alright. And we are at Super Shogun because
Yeah.
I got to rep Super Shogun because
Yeah.
it's my literal favorite promotion.
What do you think of the show today?
It was phenomenal. It was overwhelming almost.
Is it good? Good. It's one of those small little gems in the middle of like nowhere that you wouldn't expect. Yeah.
I said the first time that I drove up here, I was really expecting a rinky dink because it's in a strip mall.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, I think one of my favorite places is Shogun because like the locker room, everyone is so tight and like everyone that comes back after the match, like open arms, like fantastic job. And that's the kind of locker room I enjoy being in. It's a great place to work at.
because you've been a wrestler for a really long time,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
a really long time. Like
2001 is when I went. I actually trained up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada,
where? Which school?
with Bruce and Ross Hart. They're part of the Hart legacy, the Hart family up in Calgary.
Yeah,
Stu
I
Hart's,
even know about that.
Yes, and I actually was there when Stu was still around.
Okay.
It was a very good experience.
That's amazing.
But the reality of it set in when I moved back to the United States, and that's a whole different animal out here.
So how so though?
Well, in Canada, we're doing the trunks, the knee pads, the boots, the old-fashioned wrestling.
Okay.
Then I come back to Michigan in the early 2000s, and you see cut-off T-shirts, blue jeans,
Oh.
cut-off shorts. Yeah.
Literally.
Chairs, people wrestling back of pickup trucks. Yeah, it was.
Goodness, that's literally nothing the same. Okay.
And I lasted a few months, and I'm like, this is not what I drove 2,000 miles out to Calgary to train to become. So I dipped out for a little while.
So were you from Michigan?
Yeah, I was originally from Michigan. I went out to Calgary to train to be a wrestler because I felt that back then there weren't too many places to train. You had to go to like either Shawn Michaels had a school. There was like school on the East Coast. There was Killer Kowalski's, who was very famous. Harley Race was taking students. There's various people training.
Okay.
The most credible school. I figured, well, if you're going to train, you're going to train at the best. And at the time, the Hart family, the Hart House the dungeon was probably the best place to train.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
Want to get good, you go with good,
yes,
right?
You go with the best. I mean, I was there when Tyson Kidd was there, Natalia was there, Teddy Hart was there. Davey Boy was still around. Jim Neidhart was still around, so they pop in and out. But I mean, it was a great learning experience. And it's not like they had their name on the school and they're bringing in trainers and you never saw them. They were there hands on. So you got hands on, and I mean you had Stu in the basement with you sometimes. So I mean that was really cool.
So 2001 and it's 2024, so that's 23 years?
Yeah.
Did I do that math right?
Well, I came back in 2009, and
okay.
Wrestling's a weird animal because you could train to be a wrestler, right? And you can get out unleashed on the wrestling world, but unless you're doing it enough where it becomes repetitive or kind of like gets ingrained in your mind, it goes away. And when I walked away, I was only here for a year, and I walked away thinking, I can't make a living doing this at that point in time. So, and I was making a lot of money in my regular job, so I kind of focused on that, and I got away from wrestling for about 7-8 years. So I came back in 2009.
I mean, making a living and paying bills is important.
Right. And I came back to it, and I stepped in there, and I realized I just not enough of it retained because the time I didn't put into the sport, and the time I spent away from the sport. So I went back to train again with Truth Martini.
Okay.
In Detroit. So and he had
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, he had such a great. I mean, he got me ready quick. I mean, good shape. I went from like 205 pounds to like 175.
All right.
By the time I got done training, I mean they put you through work, and I was ring ready again, and I at the time I think when I came back in 2000 I was in my mid 30s. So I was like, I just want to get maybe one or two good matches in. That's all I was going to really stick around. I didn't really take it as serious as I should have. Yeah. But I think I just got addicted
Put
to
all
it.
that work in for one.
Yeah.
Listen to you. One or two matches.
Well,
that's a lot of work. House of Truth doesn't mess around. That's a good school.
No,
that puts out good.
I'd go shopping after training, and I'd be like hunched over a cart. I could barely walk. But yeah, it got me into shape quick. I mean, I highly recommend House of Truth. It's great school, and
wonderful school.
I mean, he got me ready. I mean, at 34, getting back into a sport that guys are 10 years younger than me, that was hard, and kind of like being humble about it too. Because when I came back, I didn't know I could go resort back to the original training. I just played it off like I was a rookie, right, at 2009. So I had guys that were 5 to 6 years younger than me, my veterans. But in reality, now that I look back, everyone takes time off. Let's be real. There's wrestlers that have taken 3 to 4 years off, right? But
needed a refresh.
Yes, right? but they count that time. So I was like, no, screw it. I'm going to count back. I want to go back to my 2001 date. So I'll say I started 23 years ago. I won't say I've been doing it for 23 years. And it was just not fair for me to claim 23 years when I want to say like a good 8 or 9 of those years I wasn't active.
That's fair and accurate and truthful. I appreciate all of that.
What are some of the differences between the heart training and House of Truth?
Yeah, is there a big difference?
Honestly, the House of Truth does it right because they hold on to the traditional values of the sport. Where I've gotten and don't get me wrong. I mean, House of Truth was the first I came back to in 2009, 2010. But I've been to many others since. And what I like about House of Truth is that there's a curriculum, and the way he does his training is you have the option to return. Let's say you get hurt or you just get overwhelmed with life or whatnot. He gives you the opportunity to come back to the next course. Like if you need to dip out, it's a curriculum, so you can't really lose a week and come back because you missed that whole week of important basics. And that's what he teaches. Everything that you learn from the beginning to end is the basic fundamentals of wrestling. And I don't think that's being taught enough in a lot of schools nowadays. Like the basic fundamentals aren't being taught.
Right, but like if you stop at like semester week 3, then the next semester week 3 you can restart. Is that what you're saying?
Unfortunately, you have to wait till the next class starts from the beginning.
That's what I meant. Yes. But then you can start back up in that week that you left.
Yes, and that
whatever class period.
So if people have certain learning curves. Like some people want to get it the first time through, some people aren't, but you always have that option to return.
That's pretty dope. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, and it's helped a lot of people up because had you only done that one and done deal, I'd say 75% of those students would have graduated because it's not easy. Wrestling is not that easy to get into.
There's always different ways to do that, and I like that. That's a good way to do that. That works for a lot of different people.
And my advice for anyone that wants to go to wrestling school, when you look at your trainer, just look at where they've been and how much money they made from the sport, because you're going to find a lot of schools out there where people just buy a ring and yes, they know how to wrestle and they know how to teach, but can they teach you how to make a living and get on TV with that knowledge? That's the most important thing when you look at a wrestling school.
Do they even really give a shit about you outside of the money?
Right. I mean, like Truth Martini was at Ring of Honor, and he played a big role in bringing a lot of the talent into Ring. So, I mean, that gives the House of Truth a lot of credibility. He worked with guys like Jim Cornette. Just like the Hearts, when I thought about training, if you grew up in the 80s, you heard about the dungeon, and that's like, well, the dungeon, but I can't afford to drive out to Canada, so I looked for something in the States, and Shawn Michaels considered that, but he closed up when I saved up enough money to finally go to school. So I went to the Hearts, and I hate to say the Hearts were my second choice, but it wasn't because I thought they didn't have the credibility. It was because the affordability wasn't there for me. So.
And I didn't even I'm not even a big that kind of wrestling fan, and I even know who
Yes.
Bret Hart is. Like,
Yes.
come on now. So the name recognition is definitely
Yes.
there.
It helped me out more when I started getting further out there. Like when I go to Las Vegas or something like that. That.
Do you travel a lot?
Yes. Yeah. Before I went pretty strong when I came back in 2009. I went pretty strong until about 2019.
Okay.
So COVID happened, and funny things,
That
even when
messed everybody up.
Yeah, I moved to LA in 2016.
Okay.
So I was still being flown out to the East Coast and Midwest,
wow.
Back then, and it was going pretty good. And when COVID happened and it stopped, I kind of looked at it as a blessing because I was tired of being in airports and
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, it was. I had a young daughter too, right? She was 3 to 6 years old during all that traveling before COVID, and it was just more of a relief when it happened. But after COVID, it just hasn't been the same, wrestling wise for me, And then I moved back here, and I expected me to pick up, but I'm older now. I'm almost 50 years old.
I know. Like somebody told me that, and I was like,
"It was Ben."
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I
couldn't. He's 49 years old. I'm like, you're lying.
Yeah.
No way.
49 years old.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember, so I wasn't gonna say. I was like, say what?
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
And
you are lying.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was like hitting it hard out there, I was like 3 to 4 shows a week.
Because you are serious. Because you fly.
Thanks.
Around the ring like you're not even like you have magic in your.
Thank you.
Well, a lot of what he does makes sense too. So.
Yeah, but it's magic.
I try to be more careful now because I
can imagine why.
No, when I traveled, I was running the guys that were doing in their 60s. And
sweet Jesus.
Yeah, and these guys are phenomenal, and these guys are and I just picked their brain like, you inspire me. How'd you get to be able to do this in the ring still? And they told me just work smarter, not harder.
I mean, that makes sense.
It's like it's more what you do in between your moves that matter, because you do a bunch of moves, just like when you read a book or when you study, you remember the first paragraph and the last paragraph. You don't remember a lot of the stuff.
That's true. That's true.
And
the important bits stick out, not like the filler crap.
No. So just work the crowd. Just remember the crowd's out there.
And you do work the crowd.
Yeah, I try to.
Really good at working the crowd.
Like at the Rumble today. I mean, I didn't do anything for the first 6 minutes. If you guys watch it,
music hit you.
I got on the chair. I'm looking out the door. Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
You literally did
I did
People
not
were gravitating to what he was doing.
Yeah,
Actually, you didn't.
And that's more important to me. If I would have gone out there and lit everyone up right away,
it would have been forgotten.
It would have been forgotten. But I did.
Guess you didn't. I didn't.
I
really
didn't do
even,
one thing until
not a lick.
Until I just after 5 minutes I started picking up weapons and hit everyone with it. But I didn't have to do anything. The crowd was chanting for Tiger. So. And they're booing me, so.
What was happening when that was going on? Who knows?
Yeah.
There was stuff happening maybe in the ring.
I was trying to pay attention to the ring because I felt
Just like,
disingenuous. I was like, oh, there's nothing even happening. Why am I paying attention to this? Because I felt bad. There's other things happening.
Yeah, there were guys that were fighting out there, but.
Psychology, it drew you to.
I know, and I knew that because I know what the psychology is.
Yes.
But I still couldn't help.
If you paid attention to what was going on in the ring, things died down because they knew where almost the eyes were.
Yeah.
So even though I knew the psychology and I knew why, I still couldn't help. But
and that's what will maybe keep me around for another 15 years if I do that. Can you imagine how? Like I've seen these younger guys now do these crazy things, and I mean,
oh my God,
they're out at 23.
Yeah, and it's amazing, but at the same time, please stop. Just stop. Like, you can wow us without doing that.
Yeah.
Like, just please, because you stress me out, and I'm not doing it.
I remember I did an outdoor show, and all these young guys, they want to do all these dives out of the ropes, and they kept clipping the ropes and hitting the steps on the way out.
Hitting concrete.
Yeah.
Even grass ground is gonna hurt.
I saw one guy dive through the second, and the second top rope, foot clips it, goes right and smashes
they
his
clip
face.
the rope so often. Like, it's so hard not to.
Right.
Like, do you understand how hard it is to not do that with your feet? Like,
and that's why it's important for them to just get the fundamentals down. Make sure you're completely confident, safe in that ring. Which is
why you're supposed to go to a good school who teaches your fundamentals. Yes. And here we circle back to
injuries and premature retirements.
And then, do you go to a lot of locker rooms where like they ask for advice from
nowadays?
Like, is that a thing still?
It should be, and it was when I was here before, because I remember,
like, I know here it is.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like I remember, like a lot of the schools did teach at one point in time. I remember being in the locker room with Shane Douglas, and I was talking to Shane, and my tag team partner, other promotions, June Hotto, he was talking to Shane, picking his brain.
Oh, yeah.
But there was very few people that would sit down and do that, and I was very surprised. And Shane, one conversation we had, I think we were in West Virginia, he noted that. He's like, not enough guys sit down and talk with me, about stuff like this, and it feels good. Yeah, and I mean, they're all willing to. I mean, I don't know if it's a thing where you think you're bothering maybe a veteran or a named wrestler, and it's not, because, when they were coming up, they were asking their senior wrestlers the same thing. So they understand it's like a rites of passage, like they welcome you, pull a chair up next to them and pick their brains. They want that. And, wrestling's no different than any other discipline, like martial arts. You have senseis, you have level of respect for the ones that have been around longer than you. I should carry over wrestling too. I mean, don't kiss their butts or don't get hazed by them. That's unacceptable, because, I mean, a lot of that happened back in the past, and that was just part of the culture. But we have to adapt with the times, right? You can't.
I think.
Yeah, you can't haze people, or the quid pro crap that you see with a lot of trainers.
A little shit talking is like one thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
It just
is all right, but
But like hazing is, I agree.
No.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't.
Is not okay.
Because our job is to help them wrestle, and if you're hazing them, you're discouraging them from wanting to wrestle. And I know, like, there's been trainers in the past I've run to that see 10 kids walk in, and he thinks it's his job to make all 10 of those kids quit. Well, and it's awful, because number one, if you're running a business like a wrestling school, you want the enrollment. Why would you discourage enrollment from that school? Number one. Number two, you're crushing some kids' dreams, and that's bullshit. And that trainer should get his ass kicked, and if word gets around, probably will get his ass kicked, because it's unacceptable,
But do you really think that'll happen? Because I don't. I mean, in a perfect world, that would be nice, but I don't think that'll happen.
I think enough people need to stand up.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the issue. And then it's like, the one guy stands up and says something, right? And,
But that's a problem. One guy. It'll have to be one guy, and one guy won't do it.
And I think people are getting tired of the crap that's going on. And I think a lot of people know what I'm talking about, with, the elephants in the room. There's schools out there that take advantage of their students.
Yep.
That needs to be addressed, because,
yes, it does.
Storylines that pertain to such issues. We're writing a wrestling show for the fans. They don't care what happens in a locker room. We're not drawing money from the locker room. I think a lot of these promoters forget that, like, beef between two wrestlers in a locker room doesn't translate to what the fans want to see. They want to see, like, two people butting heads out there and telling a story, not
we don't.
we don't cover.
The fans don't give a rat's behind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's in the promotion. Those shows should not do that either. And let's say there's a personal beef between a dude sleeping with another guy's whatever. right? And bringing it into the ring and making money off that tragic girl's despair. I think that's despicable, and I'll put that out there. And if anyone disagree with me, they can contact me on Messenger because, I mean, and if you contact me, that means it's an admission of guilt.
I mean, I would think so.
Right. But I do feel that, if you have a beef and if it's outside the ring, and I know WWE cashed in on that with Lita and Matt, Jeff, or
that don't make it right,
Edge,
though.
But it doesn't make it right.
Just because somebody does it,
and it actually caused
that doesn't
her.
make it right.
Yeah, but
Vince McMahon paid somebody to pee on somebody, didn't he? That's
right.
That's nasty.
But the whole thing was, it did cause Lita the emotional damage.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
she couldn't be out there. But
that's icky.
on an independent level, who's making money off of it? Number one, number two, you're putting a tragic situation in front of the fans, and the boys know what it's about, and they're maybe chuckling about it. But why does that even have to be put out there? It's bullshit, right?
It's just as much bullshit as help me, a person who runs a teacher of wrestling students.
Like a wrestling school.
Thank you. Sorry. Sometimes the words don't come. A wrestling school taking advantage of his students because, as far as I'm concerned, somebody in a power position, it's the same as, like, you shouldn't start a sexual relationship when you're in a position of power.
Right.
Period. Whether it's a teacher or a boss, because it is shady. And it's a shitty, especially when they're like 30 years younger than you and you're using your power to coerce them to have a sexual relationship with you. I think it's kind of garbagey, which is why I only support 3 wrestling schools, one of which is House of Truth.
I'm a guy, right?
I'm just saying.
And I understand, kind of, right? But I became a father.
But that doesn't mean you're going to fall.
Right. Well, yeah. But I became a father, and now that I look at it, right, because I've seen a lot of stuff.
But you understand what, though?
But I have a daughter now, right? And now in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't want my daughter to go through something like this. So why is it okay for me to like look the other way when it happens, right in front of my eyes, and it's not okay, and I've been in a lot of positions where I had power and authority, right? But I mean, you can use it in a certain way. You don't need to. I mean, can you honestly say that it just blows my mind? It's like you're with a girl, but are you with her because she likes you? She wants to be with you, or does she like you because she thinks she can get to that next level under your tutelage, and you are a piece of shit for honing in on that and taking taking advantage of that situation.
I mean, really, that's probably the latter rather than the former. I'm going to go with that.
Right.
And I mean, nothing's wrong with power and authority. I like power and authority.
But to use it in that way, though.
No, not for my, like, I enjoy.
Like people of that stature?
Yes, but I like it to be equal rather than.
Yes. Yeah. I just, I mean, you have to put more of the blame on the person that takes advantage of the situation. I mean, some people do look at like, well, I can go higher by, engaging in entertaining that idea. But
and fair enough, fair enough. But I feel like it comes down to I'm 48. Right. If, let's just say, I was a promoter and I also ran a wrestling school, and you, can I touch your and you were 19.
Right.
And you were my student.
Right.
You were infatuated with me because, honestly, why wouldn't you be?
Right.
Why wouldn't he be? I would be infatuated with him. And you wanted to sleep with me because, again, why the fuck wouldn't you?
Right.
It would be wrong of me
Yes.
to sleep with you, no matter what your reasoning is.
Right. Exactly.
So no matter what your fault is in it, it is ultimately my fault if it happens.
And you're completely 100% correct, because you have you have a responsibility, right? And you're taking advantage of that responsibility, and it's bad. And now I'm learning that you have to also watch out for the ones that put up the biggest movement against that, because some of those guys are using that as a way to displace that situation from them. You know, like I've had a lot of people come up to me and say that they feel strongly against it, but I come to find out they're doing the same exact thing. And it blows my mind, because then I look at it, I'm like, a lot of the behavior traits then are displacement, because then they're like, well, this guy's a piece of shit and doing this, so I'm going to go after him to keep the heat off of me and project it on. And I'm like, wow, I'm seeing a lot of that too. I'm like, so I understand what you're saying about, like, well, who's going to stand up and say something, because maybe more of them are out there doing that than we realize. And it just, you know, it's really hurt the business, you know, because I mean, you see it in the news now, you know, when a guy gets accused of it now and is not even guilty, and there's been a couple cases.
Yes, there has been, and it's garbage.
And they're done because the WWE, the big companies won't even touch these guys anymore, and they're not like. Use Enzo for one of probably the best examples. A girl accused him, money grab, found out that she lied, and they won't bring him back. No, none of the big companies will bring him back.
No, it doesn't matter.
And it runs in Ohio and Michigan, and they have a talent on there who was accused of a bunch of stuff, and a lot of people don't want to touch him.
Oh, speaking of which, Michael Elgin, right? He got accused of a bunch of stuff, and it's found out that, like, you know, and the stuff that he did get accused of, when people look it up, you know what they say? They're like, that's all he did?
Literally.
Or is that all it is? It's like, do your research, guys. You know, like I was at a Metro Pro show, right? And we had a guy that he did some inappropriate stuff to another wife's promoter. And I'm sure this is going to get a lot of views now, because everyone said, what the hell did he say? Yeah, I said the name. There's a young man. I'm not going to say the young man's name, but there was a situation there. And, you know, but on the same show, there were a bunch of people that were petitioning against being on that show because of Michael Elgin. Now, I said to the locker room, I'm like, okay, guys, keep your causes consistent. You're accusing this poor guy who's innocent of stuff, of something that he didn't do. You're not going to do the show, but you got a guy that's on the show that actually did something. So, what, you know, come on. Explain this to me, and you know, it's still I wasn't welcome back. So I mean, obviously, I must have hit a few nerves, you know. But I firmly believe that
sometimes.
Right. I mean, I said that to the locker room, and you know, I stand by it today. You know, it's like, if you're gonna choose your battle, stay consistent with all through. You know, if you think this person's unsafe, well, and you got another person that's even unsafer, and you're going to do the show.
I will change.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussions, because we sat down with Michael Elgin earlier this year, and people were like, how can you sit down with that monster? I'm like, what has he done?
and nobody knows. Yeah, exactly. That's the sad part. You know,
like, I actually researched and Googled them.
And I also blame the dirt sheets. Yeah, the dirt sheets out there. The dirt sheets.
That's what everyone focuses on.
Right. The dirt sheets. Well, no, the dirt sheets know that he didn't do anything. But
they're still running with this.
Right. But
not redacting anything.
But they're on it when the facts were coming out. The accusations were coming out. But when it was finally said and done, and
they don't ever fix anything.
No. It's because it's money and controversy. Yeah. These dirt sheets want dirt.
Well, people forgot about him. Let's move on to the next.
Right.
Well, that's what the news does. Well, I mean, that's literally what the news does.
Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't matter what it's about. That's what I literally have not watched the news for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Unless it's forced upon, at least 4 years, unless it's forced upon me at like a waiting room somewhere.
Right.
I don't watch the news. I don't. It's the same There's
Yeah.
war places because people are pushing their views on other people. People are starving because we can't share and be nice with each other, and capitalism.
Right.
Like, the end. There we go. There's your news.
I mean, the world's an ugly place
It
right now,
is,
right?
and it's full of ugly people who aren't good to each other.
No, and wrestling is supposed to be there.
It's
so
my happy.
Yes.
It's my happy out.
You leave your shitty situation at home. You go out on a Friday night for a couple hours. You enjoy a bunch of guys who are telling a story about how they're resolving their conflicts. And you go home feeling good because the good guy in the end wins. I mean, that's what it should be.
It's my Greek tragedy.
Right. It should be garbage that's going on. It's that simple.
I want to feel safe.
Right.
I want to feel safe when I come to a show.
Yeah.
And I want, when I'm watching my friends' kids.
Yes.
When they go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
If they're in there a little too long, which they were today, because one of them was washing their sister's makeup off, I don't want to have to be like.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to text their dad or start to and be like, hey, are the girls okay in the bathroom? Because I couldn't get up because there was a camera in the way.
Right.
But I was about to because they were taking too long in the bathroom.
Right. And it's sad.
But I know everybody back here.
Right.
But I was still about to get up because it was just a little too long. They came out right then. But I shouldn't have to be like that.
And it's a product of our world,
Right.
Unfortunately. And I mean, personally, no, you're fine. You're fine. It's good. I mean, we must be hitting.
Kids are my best people.
Yes, we must be talking about a great top. But, you got a bunch of guys that are 180, 200 pounds, 250, right? I think the last place you want to mess with anyone's kids is at a wrestling show. So I mean,
and these should be good, safe people.
Yes.
And I think that I know everybody back here.
Right.
Oh yeah, you really know anyone.
Well, I mean,
You can't do it,
yeah, it's still we still live in the world we live in. So I mean, unfortunately, like me, I have a 8-year-old daughter, and I have to I don't bring her to a lot of shows because of what's going on.
And
and I put that out there. I put that out there. I was like, it's just sad that all the stories I'm hearing, I'm not confident, and I have to be really close to I'll bring my daughter here and a few other places, but that's because I know I can leave her in a seat and they're gonna watch her, right? But I can't I won't just bring her to any wrestling show because it's that potential that's and I don't want to project out there that you can't bring your kids to wrestling shows, because you can.
Oh, definitely.
You can, and it's a great form of entertainment. And I think if the kids are being taught the right way, I mean, our job is to draw money, and that means bring fans, right? And if we're only worried about pulling off these cool stunts and we're not making these kids happy or hating us, I mean, you get the kids that hate you, so they pay the good guy to beat us up, right? I mean, it's like going to see a movie,
And that's what they do too.
Yeah, and
they cheer the good guy on because they hate you so much.
Yes, and it's how it should be. It's like, we can't forget that, and that's what Shogun is great, because, I mean, you're seeing stories, right? You're seeing guys that are able to work, with each other for consecutive shows, and the fans care about it because we're not just throwing two guys in the ring, right? We're able to throw the same two guys in the ring because they're telling a story. You're going to see these guys tell these great stories in the ring, and you're starting to see it on TV again with WWE, which is great. With Cody Rhodes, he's finally telling his story, and that's what's really making wrestling. I think wrestling is going through an upsurge right now. And
I like the storytelling.
Yes,
I do.
Yes, and that's, I grew up in a generation where it was all storytelling, and like you watch Nitro, it ended with cliffhanger every week, and we couldn't wait till 8:00 the next Monday night to turn it back on, because we want to see what happened at the end of the show, and it's
going back in the 80s.
Yes,
that's some bullcrap too. I don't like that. That makes me mad.
Yeah.
Larynx, and you're like, oh, when's he coming back? And
right.
Do you know throughout my whole concussion, I have been awful with directions. I'm much better now, but Shogun has been consistently the only place that I've not needed a GPS to get to.
Oh wow.
I know how to get here
That's good.
because this is my most favorite place in the whole world. Because
That's good.
they knock it out of the park with all
You know,
of the.
you know what surprised me today? You know, it's the weekend before Halloween, right? And that's the worst time to run a wrestling show.
It was so packed in
it was
here.
packed
Is
today.
it really the worst time
Because,
to run a wrestling show?
well,
I had no idea.
Adults are throwing Halloween parties.
Okay, yeah.
Bars are doing the weekend for.
I guess that makes sense.
The trunk or treats out there. Yeah.
No kidding. I
Yeah.
didn't even think about
And
that.
when we saw the people in about 6 o'clock, we're like, oh, you know, Halloween. But 7 o'clock, place was full.
It was packed.
So I mean, that means, you know, and that tells, you know, us something that you know, we got something special here up here. I mean, we're up in West Branch, right? And
how many people can pick that out? It hasn't been here.
Yeah, I mean West Branch. I mean, it's kind of in the boonies, right? It's like it's kind of a country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember I got lost one time, went downtown, and it was small.
Yeah, no, it's tiny.
Yeah. So I mean, to bring in the people they do is fantastic.
And we
come
just
from Grand Rapids. And
Oh, wow.
The first time I heard about it, I'm like, where the hell's West Branch? I'm like Googling it. I'm like, wow, that's ways up there.
I used to know because of the outlet mall here. You know, that's why I just came all the way there for.
When we pulled in the first time, I'm like, is it at an outlet mall? Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's wild what they got here. It's like magic.
I was so impressed.
Yeah.
I was so impressed. And I would tell people, and I didn't think they would believe me, and they would come and they would be amazed.
Yeah.
And then
now they're starting to see it on YouTube.
Yes.
It's like, I got to get up there.
Yeah.
And then they will come and then they're amazed. And I just had somebody that has only been to a promotion I'm not going to mention.
It's down the road a little ways.
It's down the road a little ways. It's
okay.
Loved it.
And they have never been to any other promotion, and they finally came here after listening to me talk about it. And
well, it's not just you. It's
everybody,
yeah.
But and they were like, I gotta thank you.
Yeah, I think right now Shogun's got it. You know, especially in this region.
I was so glad to see you here. I know you're at other places too, but I was so glad to see you here.
Thank you.
Even though you're bad. I like the bad guy. Why are you bad, by the way?
It's designed. The character wasn't designed to be a good guy. What would happen is I'd come in as a bad guy, and I wouldn't do the baby or heel turn. I would actually fans would just start cheering me, and I mean I would eventually play to the fans as opposed to having to turn against somebody or save somebody, and I would because it enables me to still wrestle in the same style but be a good guy.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to be a splashy.
Yeah, like I could still do the mist and the cheating a little bit as a good guy because my character didn't really turn into a good guy. The fans turned me into a good guy.
They did kind of. So I gotta ask, what's that stupid walk on the top of the rope bull crap? I don't like it. What
you don't
is
like it?
I mean, it's growing on me.
Uh-huh.
I shouldn't say I don't like it. The last one you did, I kind of like it now. It's growing on me. But what is that?
My job is to make people not like me because I do that. I was doing my job.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's
dumb. Cocky and
it's dumb. What is it for?
Well, do you remember when Rocky Johnson first did the people's elbow?
No, I don't.
Oh, that was the dumbest move in the world.
Well,
right?
Is that why you do it? Because it's dumb? Good, because it's dumb and it works.
Yeah, people remember it.
The Rock hits the rope, and he hits the rope, and he stops. Then he drops his elbow.
That's dumb too.
Yeah.
How is that a finisher?
Yeah, and
oh my God,
he did it because it was dumb.
Yeah.
Is that why you do it? Really, for really and true, you're not screwing with me?
No.
Okay. You remember it, don't you?
I do.
That's his job is to give you a moment
every time.
literally
every time I see you, I'm like,
love it or hate it, you're remembering it.
Stupid goddamn rope thing. It does work because literally every time I see your face, I think about that stupid rope thing.
Yep. And that's my job is to get you to remember the mist, the rope walk, and
I do
the mule
remember
kick.
the mist thing. That's nasty too.
Yeah.
I don't like spinning. I hate the spinning.
Yes.
So much.
And I did my job again. And can you imagine it goes in the guy's eyes in a blind.
It's so gross.
Yeah.
Why do you spit? Look, now we're.
Because
I'm glad we
Remember
didn't
it.
start off like this because it would have
Remember
gone.
it, don't you?
It's disgusting. It's
Yeah,
disgusting.
I had a few guys like who didn't.
So
Yeah, he's
gross.
like, I don't want spit, but we have to do it.
I see. I had forgotten because we're getting along so well. You know, you're pretty good except for those two things.
Thank you. Thank you.
Those two things are gross, though. You could just, you should continue to do those two
Yeah.
things because,
People hate it.
yeah, nasty. So, other than here, where else can people see you?
Right now, I'm starting to travel more. I mean, like, I was more East Coast and Midwest. Like, I would travel out as far as, North Carolina, West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky,
God dang.
Ohio, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan. Did I say Ohio?
Yeah.
Ohio, Pennsylvania.
God
Yeah,
dang.
yeah.
I
just-
Wait, do you wrestle? Have you wrestled in Indiana?
I did. I did. I didn't wrestle as much. It's funny because a lot of my
That's
friends,
hilarious.
a lot of my friends are from Indiana. Like all the guys up here are from it. Like most of the guys.
Actually,
Indiana.
yeah. Now that you
Yeah.
say that, that's hilarious.
I'm good friends with Steve and a lot of the Indiana guys. I just don't get pulled in. Like
There's really good companies in Indiana.
There is. I used to work for ARW Pro back in the day. That was one of my favorite places down in Indiana. There's a couple other places. I just can't remember their names. I know like Eric King. PWK. I enjoyed working for him. RCW, I've been done RCW. I've been there since like 2000. Back when what's her name was still in her name was Heidi Lovelace back then. I think her name is Ruby Riott in WWE.
Oh,
Yeah, she was from RCW.
Really?
It was RWA. Is it RWA or RCW? RWA.
Oh.
Yeah, she started off there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, 2012. I think when I was out there, she was just starting out.
See?
Her and Brutus Dillon.
Oh, I vaguely remember Brutus talking about that now.
Yeah, she started off there.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, I go way back with wrestling. It's kind of surreal now. I look back because I'm the old guy now.
You're the old guy.
Yeah, I have guys that come up to me when they see me for the first time. Like, I used to watch you when I was little. That's crazy. At this level of wrestling in Independence, I actually
used to watch you when I was little. I would.
It kind of. Yeah. See.
Do you chop them when they say that?
No, you missed.
Yeah.
Do you be like, hold on a minute?
Yeah, I had a few guys come up to me and say that. I'm like, oh my god, it's so funny, and a lot of them are wrestling now.
That's hilarious.
It's crazy.
That's pretty great, though.
It is. It's
Look
funny.
At you.
So, yeah.
You're inspiring them.
Thank you. Because a lot of things happened after COVID. And a lot of the older guys didn't come back after COVID. There's very few of them that did, which is weird.
It was
But
probably tougher the older you were.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen some older guys now, and I want to just. I know they probably love it, but like it's kind of sad sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why I was so amazed you were like my age, because I feel like I don't feel old.
Right.
I don't feel like you're that old because I don't feel old.
Right. I don't feel old either.
My friends' kids were like, "Oh, we thought you were 20." I was like, "I love you."
I don't get 20s. I get 30. I thought you were 30 something.
I really thought you were 30 something. Yeah. But like, I don't really think we're that old.
No. I mean, our generation's so different than like our parents' generation. Like 50. Like look at Mr. Miyagi. He's only like 52.
He was, and Ralph Macchio at the same age looks much better.
Yeah, that's true. But like, it's different.
Yeah.
I think.
A whole different. Like, I mean, the 40's the new 20. I think.
Yeah,
honestly,
I will agree with that. I will own that until I, sit on the floor.
Right.
And then have to get up.
Right.
I played Uno with one of our kiddos' brothers and their mom the other day, and it wasn't actually too bad getting up.
Mm-hmm.
I should have kneeled, though. That was the mistake, the kneeling. So, Yeah. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap it up?
Do you have anything else?
No, I think.
All right.
I think not.
This is fun. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for chatting with me. I appreciate you.
Thank you.